issues. When speaking of Dr. Sir Fernandez's speech from the Northeast, another thing.
Thank you, Mr. James, for your contribution. Can we invite our chief guest here, please? Dr. Fernandez.
Where Anungla Iyer and left. They spoke of the whole customary to the formal law and land laws in the Northeast paradigm, which is called modernization. It is basic to that development paradigm, which is based on well, I brought, sorry, I don't have it here itself. Now, to matrilineal but patriarchal and the formal laws themselves change from state to state, and within the state they may be different, particularly in Assam and Manipur. Nagaland, I don't have to repeat it, you know it. Manipur, you have 60% of the population on 10% of land, and hills 34% on 90% of the land. But no sixth schedule. There's lack of certainty. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I've been forgetting. Matrilineal but patriarchal and the formal law in Arunachal, the practice is customary, but no customary law is not recognized. Tripura, law was changed to resettle the Bengali Hindu immigrants from Bangladesh or then East Pakistan. So the community land has derecognized. Assam, you have any number of systems. Now, that is the issue. But then the real culprit is not the customary law, but the formal customary interface coming through what is called modernization without adequate preparation to deal with it. Imposition of the formal rather than evolution of the customary to deal with the formal. Not its modernization on the outsider's terms rather than on the terms of the tribal communities. And so all these laws interact with the customary law and tribal tradition to alienate tribal land. And we saw it in the latest study we did of 6 tribes. The books are there if you want. 6 tribes, that is the border of Assam, Kasi of Meghalaya, 2 in Nagaland, 2 in Arunachal Pradesh. I forget all the names. Now, what is important to remember, as again Anungla said, alienation is not tribal to non-tribal. More than 50% of the present alienation is because of the interface within the tribal community, where the tribes use the formal system, the individual within the tribe use the formal system to alienate land from the remaining individuals. Areas, community land is not recognized. Many, for example, the Naga in Manipur are demanding the 6th schedule under the impression that it will protect their land. In practice, it's easier to alienate land under the 6th schedule than under the 5th schedule, because the state imposes the formal system on the 6th schedule and treats the village chief as the owner, and bribes him or somehow harasses him, gets him to alienate land to the state, sell the land to the state. You can see it, for example, in the section in the Garo area. the Tura Airport and the Nehu campus. It was community land. The state paid compensation to the Nokma, the chief, and the Nokma shared that compensation with each family, the amount depending on his relations with that family. Some got more, some got less, according to his relations. So, I just mentioned it. Similarly, in the Kasi area, where you see the members of the Darbar using the formal law and using their traditional customary practice, power, to transfer community land to their individual names. In the process, the woman who traditionally owns that land and the community lose out. So these are the areas where you see. But I want to focus on one case study. That is the type of infrastructure building in education, health, and road building, the transport communication. The present pattern of development focuses on the city, on the private individual, and on the transport between cities. The rural areas are forgotten, hill areas are forgotten. Say most educational institution, high quality educational institutions, good quality healthcare systems are in Shillong and Guwahati and a few smaller cities. These two. What happens? Parents would like to send their children to these colleges, or in a health emergency, they have to rush to these places. And the only resource they have is their land. They have to send a child, a son, and I say son because more sons than daughters are sent. When you have to make a choice, the gender difference comes in. More sons than daughters are sent, though fortunately, particularly in Nagaland, there are many women being sent out. In fact, in the southern Angami area, we found that 2/3 of the graduates and postgraduates are women. So they too go out. That's because of the specific history of that area. But by and large, more boys than girls are sent out. So the gender difference comes in there immediately, and land alienation comes. The land is sold to rich individuals. But it's much worse when it is a health emergency, because it's possible to at least negotiate some good price in the case of land sale for education. When it's a health emergency, you are required to sell your best land at a throwaway price. So there is massive land alienation, class formation because of that, and all of it is internal, and much impoverishment is caused there. It's not class formation, not just that a few become rich, but a big number becomes poor and landless. And that is the tragedy. So we cannot go back to the past and say, reintroduce the customary law. And even the customary law needs to be reformed. Because two things in particular, and there are more probably, that it doesn't do is one, protection against class formation, and two, rights of women. And the customary law has to be reformed, not just from the gender perspective, but also from the class perspective. It has to be changed. How we have to see. One possibility is to have land ceiling in the tribal areas, which don't exist today, that you cannot own more than this amount of land. The other possibility, declare community land which cannot be sold even within the tribe, as Anungla said. We have to find ways of reforming the customary law to prevent alienation, prevent class formation, and prevent stronger patriarchy. But equally important is to go back to the cause. The cause is this development pattern, which focuses on the urban areas, high prestige institutions in the cities, and neglects the rural areas and the hill areas. And that includes transport. You have highways. I came through National Highway 1, etc., the Asian Highway 1, but you do not have communication between villages in most hill areas of the Northeast. And you have civil society groups and church bodies running in good quality institutions, at least up to high school, higher secondary school, and even some colleges. But parents are not able to send their children to those institutions because of lack of facilities, of transport, very poor rural transport. So they have to send them to the hostel. Again, land alienation may not be as strong as when you have to send them to Shillong or to outside the Northeast, but it is strong. So the problem is not solved, except that the fees are lower, probably hostel fees are lower, etc. Some solution, but not enough. At least a few villages around that can go send their children from home, etc. But the health infrastructure again, it is concentrated in the cities, big cities, and health emergencies are frequent with environmental degradation and other modern facilities. So land alienation is strong. So what happens is that the better off section can send their children to cities or for healthcare or for education. The poor are condemned to be in government schools where there may not be much teaching, they're poorly managed schools. So it just perpetuates the gap between the rich and the poor and condemns the poor to perpetual slavery, perpetual bondage or perpetual poverty. Now, this is something that has to be avoided. And perpetual ill health, because they cannot send their children, their sick persons, to the cities, or probably they have to borrow more. And that continues the vicious circle. So we cannot continue with that system.
All our friends from R&D.
If I can speak here. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr.
Issues. When speaking of indigenous rights,
Solution, a way forward. As Dr. Fernandez also just mentioned, few recommendations how we can move forward from this situation. Because there is a necessity to come together often like this in Northeast, so that we bring ideas, we bring knowledge, we bring case studies, practices, so that we consolidate that, and then we find a way together and move ahead. Thank you so much.
after Sir Fernandez's speech, at the crux of this issue is that we from the Northeast. Another thing is we are missing that we have held over the last 2 days is a witness to the cross-cutting issues that land has to development work, and it is also a witness that when partners and collaborators come together and we collectively work towards a common objective, small steps towards positive change starts happening. Through the 2 days, we saw there's so many areas, gaps in research work that can be taken up. And as NEN, I stand here on behalf of Northeast Network. I would like to offer our support, our continued stand with our partners, men, women, organizations all over the Northeast, to further our collective action towards bringing out the issues of the region in one collective voice. Thank you very much.
First of all, I would like to thank MLCU for hosting this event. So I learned a lot. When starting the program also, I told I'm not much experienced in dealing with the land tenureship and ownership issue. But through this conference, I learned different kind of things which we can implement during the taking over, like implementation of any kind of livelihood project. One of most interesting thing what I learned is the mapping system led by NRMC and the group of Manipur, people from Manipur. This is very interesting thing I learned. So in future I will keep in touch with all of you to learn more on this. So if it's good for us, then I'll take forward in Arunachal also. So this is one interesting thing I learned, and especially another thing I thought is how we can empower women in this, we can say during the transition period, no? From common property regime to a private property regime, how we can empower, what is the technique, whether we can codify, whether we can do through codification of the customary law, or whether we can go through legal law. That is one thing. So these two issues is there. So
and the knowledge that has been translated in this forum and brought forward from different corners of Northeast, from activists, from land actors, from communities, from scholars, will form part of our academic discourse. Part of this will plow back to our students through our academic courses. The Board of Studies are underway at the moment, and I'm sure my colleagues in the respective department will find space to integrate some of these deliberations that came over the last 2 days into their academic discourses and courses. In the research front, we'll continue to be striving for looking at land and related issues, whether it is in relation to customary practices or otherwise, including on the issues of land productivity, crop productivity, and many other things. And that could continue to be part of our academic orientations and directions. Friends, we have very many reasons again to be thankful to each one of you, and we hope that you will continue to be part of this academic exercise in a way that we are able to translate this knowledge into community development. On a lighter side, I also want to say that the footprint of yours that you'll be leaving, the dust of your feet which will be remaining in this room for some time, another part of the humble building of this MLCU will remain a blessing for each one of us. Your memories will remain with us for a long, long time. At the same time, although Prabandhan will be giving formal vote of thanks on behalf of the university, I am really, really tempted to say thank you to each one of you, especially our partners, our friends. We are more than friends now. We are co-workers together in the same cause, in the same issues. NAM, NRMC, RNBA, of course, NERCOM has been always part of us in a way that we have worked with many other things. And many of you who are here, especially Shivani and Rina and friends here from Myanmar or India. He is both in two sides of the world. He is, forgot his name though. Dr. Walter Fernandez took such a, what I should say, sacrifice to come here just for 1 hour of his presence with us. But this is an inspiration for us, for the young team here. The dedication, the motivation that he translates into us is something that we'll always carry forward. And this gives us more and more reason why we need to take forward the ideas that they have already initiated long time back. An institution like ours should be the one that we should be able to carry forward. Once again, thank you, friends, for all your presence, for your contribution, for your smile, for your bearing with us with all the limitations that we have in this small university. The footsteps that you have to climb every morning, at least for the last 2 days or so, and I'm sure your economic contribution to local traders or local people in this evening will add to the value of your presence in this city. We wish you a happy return, a pleasant return, safe return back home, those of you who are outside from Shillong. And those of you who are from Shillong will continue to be meeting and greeting each other, not just in this forum, and elsewhere. Thank you very much, friends. Wish you all the very best. May I now invite Roy to say formal vote.
Thank Dr. Walter Fernandez, who has really taken a lot of pain in coming from the Guwahati for 1 hour of his presentation and again going back. So thank you, sir, for your presence and insightful presentation for all the participants. Starting with MLCU, the organizing partner for this first Northeast Land Conference, I'd like to thank Dr. Vincent Darlang, the Vice Chancellor, and his team of professors and faculties, Dr. Maribon, Dr. Fabian, Dr. Mancha, Dr. Grace, all of them a very big thank you for really supporting all of us in organizing this event very successfully. I would like to thank the team of Northeast Network, Dr. Monisha Bahel, Seno, Joy, for their support in organizing session and also providing assistance in organizing this 2 days of big event in Shillong. I thank you, Dimgong Rangmai from RNBA Network and the whole team of RNBA who came from Manipur and other parts of Northeast and made a very good session today morning and also participated a lot in this different deliberations and discussions. I thanks Mihin Dolo from Norcom and his support is really very, very significant in making this 2 days of event happen. So thank you, Mr. Dolo. I thank the session organizers, particularly Sivani Chaudhary from HLRN and Jiten from CRA Manipur for organizing 2 sessions, one yesterday, one today. So thank you very much, Sivani and Jiten, and all the panelists in your session. I thank Reena Chandran from TRF, who was our chief guest for the inaugural session and also supported us in conducting the 1-day training workshop for the journalists. It was went very well. I thank the friends from the press and media who attended this 2 days workshop and provided all support in publishing and publishing the news and the deliberation of this workshop in different local newspapers. In case I am missing somebody, so please forgive me. At last, I would like to thank my team from NRMC. Pranav has already left. Navin is here. So both of them and including me also, we really worked a lot last
last 1.5 months, with the support from the MLCU team, we disturbed a lot of time calling Dr. Dalong, Dr. Marion, so much of emails. So I thank both Pranav and Navin for this. I thank all the members of the team who supported us in arranging the logistics and also organizing this workshop, 2 days of workshop to make it a successful workshop. So thank you all the participants, and with this we formally close this 2 days of event. And one announcement, the participation certificates are there in the registration desk. So I request all of you to please collect your participation certificate from the registration desk. Thank you very much.